Hey guys, what's going on? Rick here with Cage Side Convos. I'm out in Stevens Point, Wisconsin this week. I'm here with my friend Mike Sixel. He is the owner of Neutral Ground Stevens Point and active guard member. So I'm going to kind of let him introduce himself a little bit and we'll rock and roll.
Cool, thanks. So thanks for having me on. So just a little bit about myself. Active guard, I've been in for 19 years now, 15 years active. So martial arts wise, my dad was an instructor growing up, so he got me in 4 or 5 years old, taekwondo, hapkido, judo type stuff. But I did that for my entire life, really. I joined the military right after high school, deployed real close after I joined. When I came back from deployment, I wanted to pursue a little bit more of like the martial arts career, so I moved out to Oregon. Wisconsin didn't really have a huge MMA scene early 2000s yet, so I joined Team Quest out in Oregon. Was there for quite a few years. Met my wife out there. It's a big part of my life is family. That's definitely a priority for me. When I was out there, I was just a National Guard, but I joined like an honor guard team. So I was at a national cemetery. I did honors, probably 3 to 10 honors a day, and that's what really got me in deeper with the Army. It just served a bigger purpose for me. So that's what got me into the active guard on the career side. From there, wanted to come back closer to family when my daughter was born, so moved back to Wisconsin. I got back here in Stevens Point, realized there really wasn't a big martial arts gym here like that, so opened up the gym, affiliated under my good friend John Friedland. So and just kind of went from there then. So.
Cool, awesome, man. So you said you started young training, so the taekwondo under your dad. At what point, kind of what clicked for you? What happened that really made you want to shift your focus to MMA?
It was, I guess early 2000, actually, 99 was pancreation started to become a bigger thing. They made a big push to get back in the Olympics when it hit Athens. I believe it was 2004. So they're trying to get in the Olympics area. So a couple of tournaments I did with point karate.
Sure.
They started having pancreation into it. I wrestled in high school, so it started combining those stuff. And then Ultimate Fighter came around too. Right. So just all those things at once there. So I started competing in pancreation. Was doing pretty decent. Was an alternate for a national team that we went to Greece in 2000, and did that. And then, like I said, I deployed to Iraq shortly after that, and I just realized how precious time was, and I just wanted to pursue something right when I got back. So that's what made me pack up, move to Oregon, and I wanted to join a team out there that can help me.
And then so pancreation basically is no strikes to the head on the feet. What I don't know the exact rule set for that.
Yeah. There's 3 different classes of pancreation. And basically, Class A, Class C, it's just the opposite end of the spectrum. Where Class C is just grappling rules. No striking. Right. Class A is MMA. I usually have headgear on and stuff like that. Right. But Class B is what a lot of people see and kind of expect from pancreation, where there's no striking to the head, and so we go from there that way.
Gotcha. Okay. So I got obviously a pretty natural transition from pancreation into MMA, right? So now how many pro fights do you have?
So I had 6 pro fights.
6 pro fights. Yeah, okay, cool. And I know. So when we met last February, I think that you had just come off of, you were supposed to go to Australia and fight or something like that. So you've had the opportunity to travel a little bit doing that.
Definitely.
So obviously there's a shift once you go from training, from being the fighter to coaching. It's like owning your own gym, right?
Yeah.
So you said after your daughter was born, you came back from Oregon out to Wisconsin. You decided you wanted to open the gym.
Right.
Now, was that more kind of in your mind? What was the mindset behind that? You just wanted a place for yourself to go train, or did you think that when you opened this, you'd still pursue that fighting career, and kind of what was the mindset that went into opening the gym?
Yeah, it's being in the martial arts has been a way of life for me, and it's something I didn't want to give up.
Right.
Yeah, so opening a gym was almost out of necessity in a way to keep training, gain training partners. It was a tough transition, like where I wanted to continue fighting and build something big. Like I wanted this just massive gym. I had that mindset right away. But yeah, so it was tougher mindset. So that transition from when I first started to now, just amazing. Like the highs and lows, my purpose behind it, I guess. So, but yeah, so like I continued fighting for a while. Still have that itch every once in a while, but definitely the coaching is taking over as my biggest purpose. I mean, for competitors and just people just with their day-to-day goals.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. And I think so. I'm pretty involved with the gym back home, American Top Team and stuff. And you spoke to kind of when you first started the gym. You had this big, like this grandiose image of you wanted this big gym, probably like all this mat space, all these bags, all this stuff, right? Which I've definitely found myself sometimes fantasizing about a bigger gym, more people, all this space, all these classes, all these things. And but you spoke a little bit too to how through time your purpose kind of shifts.
Yeah.
Because one, that's exhausting, and if you're trying to fight and you do most of the coaching here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to fight, you're trying to coach, you want to train yourself, you want to train other people and stuff, and then I think you realize over time, like, okay, well, maybe I don't need a bigger gym, you just need more quality gym,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Quality over quantity.
So you find, get spread a little too thin and then kind of have to reel yourself back in sometimes.
So many different aspects that quality over quantity.
Yeah, sure.
But one of the best advice I got, from my coach mentor, John Freeland, was start small. And because, like you said, I wanted this, take out this huge loan, get this huge gym, start off. But the biggest thing is how many mistakes you make at first. I mean, as a coach, as a business owner, and like that, and doing it on a small scale, and just instead of having this big thing and a small amount of people, have a thing in a garage, a big amount of people, and build that core, and then you can kind of progress from there.
Sure.
And same thing with, you can tailor that to fighting, anything like that. You don't get in here and 2 weeks later ask for a UFC fight. You start small in the smaller things and progress up that way.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's definitely something you have to learn. Like you said, there's a very steep learning curve as, like you said, a business owner, but a coach too. So, I mean, had you done a lot of coaching before you opened the gym, or was it mostly just training and stuff and you made that transition?
Yeah, it was mostly just training. Like I assistant coach at high school wrestling. I just, did filled in here and there, but yeah, it was just lots of mistakes at first. I mean, you look back and a little embarrassed, like almost compared to like how you teach now. And you could see that it just. So you're constantly improving. I mean, definitely not where I want to be right now, but every day you step on the mat as a coach, as a competitor, you're looking to improve it just that little bit.
Absolutely. And I think that's a critical thing to keep in mind. I mean, you and I have talked coaching quite a bit, but I don't think you ever really lose that student mindset, that constant growth mindset, that learning mindset. Like you said, I mean, yeah, we put ourselves in a role where we're instructors, but I mean, we're both still students.
Yeah.
I mean, you study under Sensei Ludwig, you study Bang Thai the same as I do. I mean, you ranked under your coach in jiu-jitsu. You ranked in Taekwondo and stuff. And I mean that you're not a black belt in everything that you do. And then even when you are a black belt, like how many black belts have you met in jiu-jitsu? I mean, how many black belts have you met in Taekwondo, karate, and various different disciplines that tell you that they're still learning.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so I think that you know, kind of like you said, looking back, you get almost embarrassed of how you used to coach or how you used to, you know. And I mean, shit, man, you look back at your first fight, you're probably pretty embarrassed of that technique that you had back then too, you know. So I think it's a lot of it is just understanding that the importance of mistakes, the importance of learning and accepting that learning is a constant part of life.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what kind of keeps us getting back on the mats every single day.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that mindset of fighting and coaching, where in the beginning, I didn't want to screw up as a fighter. I didn't want people to see that weakness. Where coaching, it's not about, I guess, my skill set as much as it being able to articulate to other people my deep understanding of the technique to pass along to them and to build their skill set. So getting my ego out of the way as a fighter, as a competitor, and to be able to properly train and coach someone else. I think that was one of my biggest mindset, my transitions.
Yeah, absolutely. That it's big because it you know, the ego. You know, talk about that so much in martial arts, man, is shedding the ego. And unfortunately, the way that we learn the best is through trial and error, which means that there has to be a lot of error, you know. As a coach, I think there's definitely that desire to always be right. And not so much because like it hurts our ego to be wrong, but because we want to always present the best information to our students. And like you said, a deep understanding of technique and stuff. And unfortunately, that all comes from, again, trial and error. It comes from being wrong so many times and understanding, okay, well, like when a student asks you a question about why you're doing something, you want to have an answer for them. And, you know, if you say, well, if you move this way, you know, if you slip off to this side of the punch and then you get countered with a kick to the head, it's going to suck. And, you know, you want to know how I know that? Because I've done that before, and you know, if I paid the price for it. So I think it's important to not be infallible as a coach, to for your students to understand that, you know, at one point you were a student and that you're still a student, and it's okay for them to make mistakes too. Because like you said, having fought myself, like you don't want to go out, you don't want to lose a fight. You don't want to appear weak. You don't want to mess up as a fighter, you know. But I think it's important, and if you know, I'm sure you've had good coaches. I've had great coaches, and one of the things that good coaches try to instill in you is that it's okay to mess up. It's okay to lose fights as long as you tried, as long as you're learning, you know. But it's an easy mentality to fall to the wayside, you know. But I think it's important for us to be able to instill that in our students the same way our coaches did in us. You know, but you have to truly believe it. So then you have to go through that trial and error of making the mistake of being egotistical and making the mistake of not wanting to be wrong before you come around to understanding that it is, you know, actually okay. And like your coaches weren't bullshitting you when they told you it was okay to lose, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, it's again another thing that John mentioned is just he wants to experience. You know, he says it in his own way. It's John, but he wants to experience as far as. He wants to win by decision, win by knockout, win by submission. But not only win, but he wants to feel that loss as well. You know, loss by submission, loss by knockout. Just, I mean, because it's at the end of the day, I mean, we're passing along the information to someone else. I mean, military-wise, it's the same thing. That's one thing I realize is go through. Like if all the leaders, all they did was keep everything themselves. They do their stuff. That military it's going to slowly deteriorate, you know, because all it is, these people going up higher, passing down the information, then people down here, the lower enlisted, then they're going to be the senior leaders, then they pass on the information. It just goes that way. So same thing as fighters, you know, if they're not passing on the information, what better way to have that information than experience yourself firsthand and then pass it on. So not only the highs, but pass on the lows to have the students you know, hear about those losses and hear about those mistakes so they don't make it themselves.
Right, absolutely, yeah. And I, so how you know relate that back to the military is that the people up top are just passing down information, right? And I mean, same thing in martial arts, same thing in almost every facet of life. You know, it's kind of human history. You know, that's how we learn culture. You know, is through people passing down information. You know, and so it's important to pass quality information, and but I think it's very important to pass well-rounded information as well. So like you said, the highs, yes, those are easy to focus on, but you have to pass the lows too. You can't give the next generation this fabricated understanding of life, whether it be military or martial arts or whatever facet you're in. You can't just say, well, everything's going to be always good, because then when they have to deal with something bad, they don't know how to do it, because like, well, this isn't how it's supposed to be, so having quality information but well-rounded in a full set of information is important. And again, that theme of kind of trial and error of making mistakes ourselves and understanding it and being able to pass on that information, because I don't think you're necessarily going to stop them from making mistakes, but I think you can help them get through their mistakes a little bit more easily.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Quince, what's up, man? Probably a little weird for you on that side of the camera this week. Quince is my co-host, my better half when we're back home. So it's cool that he's popping in. Don't be bashful about chiming in while we're chatting over here, brother. Something you touched on very early when you were talking about your military career, something you just brought back up when you were talking about the gym too, and a very recurring theme, not only in my life, but in the lives of so many people that I talk to, is purpose.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just kind of leave that a little open-ended. Your purpose with the military initially, like what was your initial purpose when you went in, why you enlisted, and then how have you seen that morph and change through through your military career?
Yeah, like I guess like you just saying that light bulb went off too as far as military, just with the gym, everything like that. It starts off a little bit more selfish,
Sure.
Where in the military, I was I was going to college and I was going in debt,
Sure.
So I joined completely for school benefits.
Sure.
And like I said, I was going to do my 6 years, get out. Being selfish, like I was doing my job, but I treat it like a job, not a career.
Sure.
And but again, like when I got that deeper understanding of it, especially giving flags to families in the honor guard, and just seeing the purpose grow. What the military is to the nation, to individuals like that, and it got less selfish and more about serving. So saying that with the gym, I wanted to build this big thing and support my family. I wanted just to be a heck of a business owner, go from there. But as I went through, I started meeting people. I started just realizing the effect I have. What we talked about, just as far as people coming up after class, be like, man, you changed my life. This gym changed my life. I lost 50 pounds. I have this much more confidence. Just like that. So my purpose went from being a great business owner, making a lot of money, to helping people, and just having that effect on people. Because if you have that effect on people, the other things will come with it. The business, that different thing. So switching that purpose and realizing how that's going to spread to the other aspects, the other purposes, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. I think what you touched on there too, selfishness initially, and how it becomes through time at Morrison becomes more about selfless service.
Yes.
Right. That resonates with me big time, and I think that's something that resonates with a lot of people. Is when you take a job, right? Why'd you take this job? The pay's great, benefits are great, vacation's great, all these aesthetic things and stuff. When you ask somebody why they left the job, usually it's because it was unfulfilling.
Yeah.
Right. And it was only ever a job, But when you find yourself in a situation where you can serve others, and you lose that selfishness, and you find out how you can turn, and I mean, if you're passionate about what you do, like, that's amazing. That's going to show, and people are going to see that. When you figure out how to turn your passion into selfless service, that's when it becomes more of a purpose.
Yes.
Right. So, like you said, we talked earlier about how when a student says that you've had a positive impact on them, that's the most rewarding thing, and starting a business is hard. Owning a gym is hard. Coaching is hard,
the balance.
And I mean, you've got an awesome group of guys here. I know there's a lot of your students who have come up, training under you and stuff, and guys that are moving into leadership roles and stuff like that, which is awesome. That helps, take some of the burden off and stuff. But those guys are only doing that because they've seen your passion. They understand your purpose, and they see that selflessness, and that's something that resonates with them. That's something that they want to do.
Yeah.
That's something that you've had a positive impact on them. They want to have that on others. So like you said, you see that purpose grow, and then it branches out into other aspects of life. And the more you build that community and that kind of group selflessness, the more you're going to see the gym prosper. And like, yeah, eventually, it'd be great to have more mat space and more bag room and more classes and stuff. But that all comes with time. That's a byproduct of being passionate and of seeking your purpose and of giving others a place to do the same.
Definitely.
Yeah,
it's definitely the people that make the gym, in its place. Anybody can train in a garage, anything like that, but it's the group of people that come together and, just make it a gym.
Right. Absolutely, man. Yeah. And it's crazy too, because I mean, I'm sure you've been in big gyms before in your life, and like you go into a big empty warehouse, and even if there's 50 people there, it feels empty, but then you go to a smaller gym, there's 15 people in there training, and it's the same 15 people that always train together, and it's a family, and you can feel that sense of warmth, that sense of invitation and stuff. And one of the coolest things about being out here and training with you guys is the first time I came out was specifically to train with Taryn. For those of you who don't know, Taryn's a good friend of mine. He was stationed out in Fort Drum. He was a soldier. He trained with us. An American top team, fought with us a couple times. Moved back home to Wisconsin. So then Taryn asked me if I wanted to come out and help him finish up his camp and corner him for a fight. So it would have been, last January, right?
Yeah.
So I come out, met you guys. I was here for 2 weeks training, and I met, a dozen or so people, and here it is a year and a half later, I come back and train, and it's the same people here.
Yeah,
and you don't see that kind of attention at a lot of gyms and stuff, and that is something I've been kind of meditating on a little bit this week is, you guys are doing something right to keep the people around, but it was the very first thing I noticed was just how welcoming everybody was. You were very friendly to me the very first time I met you. I think it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, Taryn and I came in to work out. And you ran us to a smoker, and then, from there, you're just always very kind, very inviting. You not only let me train here, but you also let me coach a little bit, which is something I'm very passionate about. And like you said, sharing that, sharing knowledge, and it's definitely my purpose, I think, is to be able to help and to share. So to be able to come out somewhere new, some of you guys don't even know me at all.
Yeah.
You let me step into that role and kind of share the knowledge that I had. It was really exciting for me, and but I to kind of loop that back around to your point, it really is the people that make the gym.
Definitely.
Because I could have come in, you could have been an asshole to me my first day, and I could have trained or whatever, and then just had no desire to come back. But everybody was, like I said, was very inviting, and to me, definitely what martial arts is about.
Yeah.
And the biggest focus I've always seen from you specifically is that genuine desire to help people grow and to encourage others to kind of seek their way and find their purpose in martial arts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's been it's awesome.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's one thing I it continually grow as a person, as a coach, or anything like that. But one thing I take very seriously is what I want. I want each person to succeed that comes through here and to hit the goals that they want, and just feel welcome that way.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that for the Bang Muay Thai system, when just kind of went through that, learning techniques. I love the system with it. But what really sold me to become affiliate on it was the first time I went out there, and for such a 2-time coach of the year, just such a resume.
Yeah.
And go out to his gym, and it's the same thing. He's got his family there. He's got a dog there. Everybody, from the first time I went out, and a couple years later, it was the same people again, like you were talking about. But it's such a hometown, family type atmosphere, and that's a mentor that like I want.
Right.
And that's not only the system is great, but the mentorship from that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's huge. The leadership from Dwayne Ludwig, man, is absolutely, yes, like you said, the technique's great, but you watch how he coaches, you watch how he runs his gym, you see how he incorporates his family into what he does, and that's something that you can really emulate.
Yes.
And I mean, geez, he has world-class guys out there all the time, but he also has a very, small core group of local guys that he cultivates and trains. And I think something really important you touched on too is you want everybody to meet their goals when they come in. And that's going to look different for everybody.
Yes.
No two people are going to have the exact same goals. Even two people that come in and want to fight, their goals aren't necessarily going to match up. Some guys want to go pro, some guys just want to have a couple fights. Some guys have no idea what they want, and they just know that they want to be here. You know? And so it's very important. And I think one of the most wholesome and genuine things you can find is a coach or as a mentor, a training partner, a fellow student, whatever. But somebody that understands, individuality, and no matter what the goals are, it's what can I do to help?
Yeah. When I first started too, like I was I hit so many MMA business convention type things,
Sure.
And in the very beginning, it was such like a thing on the intros, just having this huge script, not talk about price. I mean, just all these different things, and I did that for so long, and it was pretty successful with it. I feel, but in the beginning, it just felt so fake. As far as going through it, you're getting to the person's goals, but you're setting them up, and you're doing it in just so business-esque. And people might have more success with it, might build bigger gyms, but I realize, again, shift in purpose, all that stuff is as far as maybe that's something I don't want. I want to be a little bit more personal with everything, and that's where I shifted. And I felt I had that passion kind of growing that way instead of going so business. It's more about each individual.
Right.
So.
and it's a hard balance too, because at the end of the day, I mean, you got to keep the lights on in the place.
Yeah.
But I think people know it when they walk in the door, and if you're a businessman and you're selling them a membership as opposed to introducing them to a way of life, I think people pick that up immediately. Like I said, you got to keep the lights on, but I think the biggest thing is making sure that someone's a good fit for the gym.
Yeah. I just recently did a coach summit, and just had a little workshop type thing where they write down words that describe your perfect coach, or what you would want in a coach and everything, and wrote just a bunch of different things on a whiteboard, and by the time it was done, it was 75-80% of the words was on the coach's personality, compared to skill. So those are the two things where you circle the personality, and then just exit a skill. And you saw it, and it kind of hit home that way. I mean, skill is obviously important. You want to pass the right information along, but it's about feeling welcome. It's about the being a part of something.
Yeah. And I think that being a part of something, I mean, that's not too much different than purpose, than meaning. Having a reason to kind of get up, to go to the gym, to do whatever, you want to be part of something. And like we talked a little bit before about, you want to be the kind of coach that you would want.
Yeah.
And so like with you guys writing all that down, I think it's important to kind of qualify that a little bit, like, okay, what I want to coach, and then emulate that. So like you said, it's more about the personality. It's how we expose them to this information, and ultimately a way of life, because for most people, martial arts isn't just coming in and smashing and fighting, because most people aren't going to fight. You come in, and like I said, there's a reason that it's the same people that are still here a year and a half later after, my first exposure to neutral ground, is because they're part of something, and you guys have, you guys do like accountability groups and stuff like that. you have smaller groups where, people that are specifically goal oriented to fight or to, for fitness and stuff like that, they can kind of communicate, and so within this one community, there's like sub communities that build, and it really links people in and ties people into that sense of belonging. And you're going to come in, you're going to sweat, you're going to get tired, you're going to have fun, you're going to learn something, but you also get to see your friends. And I know last week you guys did the fantasy draft party or whatever here, and you guys have fight parties and stuff like that, man. It's just such an awesome community, and you guys are always engaged with each other on and off the mats, and even for people that fight and then take time off after the fight, which is pretty standard. I know for me, I always take at least 1 week off from hard training, if not 2, after a fight, and I make myself a little scarce around the gym, and you need that time to breathe. Definitely. And I've had guys that'll fight, and then I won't see them for 3 months, 6 months until they come back in and they're like, "Oh, coach, I got a fight coming up in 2 months." Which is cool because that's their path, that's their their specific goals and stuff. But guys that you miss when they're not around and everything. And so I know the last big thing I was out here for was back in was March. I came out, and you guys actually had fights right here in Stevens Point, and that was awesome. For me, that was really cool because I got to be even a little more involved with the fight team. I was lucky enough, I got to corner 4 of the guys last time. It was a really cool experience, man. Hometown crowd, it was crazy. Like, just the energy, guys like, Steve Pratt and Jocko, Dave, and Taryn fought, Will fought, Truckee fought, a couple of your kids had creation fights, man.
Yeah, we had a good showing.
Yeah, it was big. It was definitely a super high energy night, but so for you, I know you did a lot with putting those fights together and stuff. What was that kind of experience? So that's even a different dynamic other than the coaching and owning the gym. Is
definitely. I love it, kind of like being on the back end, that type of stuff, and putting something like that together. Again, to have maybe we had 1,400 people there, so it just the pride of those people, that many people having a good time, the fighters being taken care of, all that stuff. I just, again, love doing that stuff. I love passing it along. Because, I get between AMI Pro, 20 fights, and I just, that's one thing. It was nice having that myself and be able to kind of pass that along to the younger fighters as well. So
being able to give those guys the same kind of experience that
platform.
You had. And I thought the fights were awesome, man. Everything went super well. Even being backstage and cornering guys. You've been to shitty venues. You've fought at shitty venues. You've cornered shitty venues, man. And just having
up in a janitor's closet.
Man. We fought one time. We were warming up in like a goddamn boiler room with like pipes hanging down right over your head. But no, so to have, from the fighter, from a coach's perspective on the experience end of that, man, it's just a nice venue, well put together, things ran smoothly, and so it's super awesome, But, and I know you and I talked a little bit about it. What kind of, what was the experience like after the fact? You had all these guys. Your whole gym fought on that card, So kind of what was that experience like kind of afterwards?
So, there's like the pros and cons, the way that I, run the business. As far as, just not so business as I don't look at each member as, just a client or whatever. I really consider everybody a friend. Just a part of the family. Right. So I guess that's where I get after fights, where I put, or I guess leading into the fights, I should go first, is it's not just the night of the fight. You got 4 or 5 months where you're thinking about their opponents, you're thinking about their training, what you could do better as a coach. So your mindset's on them a good chunk of the time. Right. So, and I'm not saying like take away time, but you only have so much time, Right. So when you're putting effort to them, other things are suffering. Then it's a balance in life, like everybody has. Yep. So after those fights are done, a lot of the fighters, just some are one and done, some are bucket list type fighters. Some I took a couple months off. So you go from such a high, being around people, just day in and day out, to nothing, and then let's say like the gym suffers a little bit from concentrating on those 8 people compared to your other members, and you start, you take a step back and be like, okay, am I focused on the right things? I mean, you just got to question yourself, and it's not a bad thing, I don't think, but you just you get those results. Then afterwards, you take a step back, reevaluate the direction you want to go. Adjust a little bit. Because not everything was perfect. Not everything is ever going to be perfect.
Right.
But just kind of reevaluating after that. So, in a way, it's like, my friends are gone. It messes with your mindset a little bit. So.
Well, and I mean, for anybody that's ever spent any time training, you get close to people really quickly. And like you said, especially when you're working so personally with people, when you're getting them ready for a fight and stuff, and then, you go from that high experience of you fight, especially, man, if you win and on such like a big home stage and stuff, and you're pumped up, and then, these guys and girls that you just spent all this time working with, and then they're gone, and like you said, then there's that time for that self-reflection. I mean, even in a win, there's things that you need to do better. Obviously a loss, we always take as a learning experience and stuff, and an overall positive, like an amazing and a great event, and then you turn around and there's still, there's still a downside to it. There's still some revamping, there's still like restructuring your purpose, shifting of focus. Like you said, some of maybe the general population of the gym suffers a little bit because we get hyper focused on our fighters. You focus on 2 or 3 people or one specific program, which, I mean, there's kickboxing, there's wrestling, there's jiu-jitsu and stuff, and they're all separate programs, but MMA is still an entity within itself, and you focus on that, and some other areas kind of suffer, and then you go back and, like you said, should I feel bad about focusing on these people, and but it just kind of right back to that notion of, everything has to kind of balance out, and those highs and those lows for sure.
Just going back to, you're halfway embarrassed of what you taught 5 years ago, or how you taught. So the same type of thing where you're so focused on one side where you reevaluate it afterwards and be like, okay, I could have focused this out. I could have prioritized my time a little bit more. And just everything that way. So, but you brought up a good saying is success isn't linear. And you're right. Like so after those fights, there's such highs with that. So many of the fighters could have kept going. Different things went that way, but it didn't as much. It worked out the way I did. And, there's a little bit of a drop, but it's funny when there's a little drop and what your mindset can cause. It causes other negative things. Controlling that mindset, be like, hey, this isn't the end of the world. It's just, what I mean? So, but when you start getting frustrated about that, then your mindset really causes other little negative things in your life. So just realizing that there are going to be highs and lows, and addressing them and getting back up to high, as soon as possible.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, I think it's so important to, like you said, not to understand it, but to embrace it. And I think that's when that shift, when you quit letting those negative things bother you so much, and they're just kind of part of the process, right? Absolutely, man. So I think we'll wrap it up right there. Excellent. Mike, thanks so much for joining us, man. It's always a pleasure getting to sit down and chat with you. Neutral Ground, Stevens Point, my man Mike Sixel right here, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please drop us a comment. Let us know what you thought. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm sure Michael would be more than happy to answer some questions too. But yeah, awesome. Mike, thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us, guys. All right, we're gonna take a minute to shut this down, I guess.